Welcome back to Saga 3 Kings. This is session number 55, entitled Master of Puppets. Last session ended with the group arriving back in the city of Bluegate and ultimately coming to realize that the city in question is currently under the control of none other than Zadok Mishriel, also known as Raya, also known as that fucking asshole, to some. To most, to a few. That said, you would all eventually wind up where the lordship would have its seat of power, and you would know that he's probably being migrated, the Curios that is, up to that direction from outside, um, because, as I mentioned, they're on their way to the location from the battlefield. But yeah, that said, you all reconvene in the seat of power for the town of Bluegate. What do you do?
I'm gonna go ahead and grab the next stack of reports I've been going over for days over here.
Yep. He looks busy.
Can get those reports from the South Gate in here, but wait on those.
I'm shocked.
Where are we on fuel distribution for the cities? People need it.
We're mustering. Everything's been handled as you requested, and we have trade lines reconvening through Barod out to the western fields.
We're doing good work here, people.
You have guests. If you like, I can go ahead and compile the full reports for you and have them at your desk.
I'm sure. I could probably do both. Don't worry about it. You come and go as you please. Go ahead and fill me in.
Fair enough. Looks to the hand of Mudis and then looks to the rest and kind of moves along. And yeah, there he sits on the throne, looking cool.
Oh, I'll be on a throne.
Huh?
I'd just be at a desk in a normal fucking chair.
No. When you first got seen by Shambles, you were definitely sitting on the throne because you knew he was coming and you wanted to be that guy.
It's funny, but
Well, yeah, it was funny. That's why I did it. But now you're in full business mode. Understood.
I don't believe in thrones.
Understood. So yeah.
You seem to have been busy.
Very.
Is there something that is our goal here so far?
I'm just sitting here signing off on papers. Goal for you. Yeah, right here. I pull out a bag and I throw it to you. Inside, you find 10 pieces of paper, and they're over there. You're gonna need to go over those.
Very well. You said you're busy. What are we doing here, buddy? I see that you saved the town here.
Gotta get this town put back together. People need food. Houses need repaired.
Very good then. So yes. So it seems that we're here for the greater good. It seems.
Always. And the Curios, you brought him back, or
Yeah, he's back.
was he gonna come into work today, or just another day off?
I think you're coming in through your microphone on your camera. I just realized the echo. Sorry. Shambles is present. He's there. He was the first one who arrived, which was the funniest stuff ever. Because he's like, and I'm like, well, that's where I wanted to stop it. And he's like, I'm not gonna be here next week. And I'm like, that sucks.
Perfect.
So basically, he walks in and it's like he's trying to ask you questions and you can't answer because you're in NPC mode. And then when you are now in player character mode and are trying to ask him questions, he's like, I'm an NPC right now.
Just a bunch of thumbs up.
Yeah.
Is this better?
Yes, way better.
Okay.
It was mostly the only
so
reason.
much better.
The only reason it was an issue is I could hear your family yelling in the back.
I turned on the RTX one that's supposed to filter all that out.
Oh yeah. Well, anyways, as you're kind of sitting there talking, in walks an individual who you all met in the Hall of Arcana. You would recognize as Demos. Demos, by the way, who's the barkeep at Mudis's bar. He's also the leader of the Mardigan family in the region. He kind of steps in and kind of gives you a nod of the hat.
Is this the same region or not?
Yes, Mudis region. whole
Okay.
getting caboodle. He kind of gives you a tip of the hat and says, "My liege," as he walks in, which
I chuckle.
he's been prone to do throughout the last couple of days.
It's funny.
He says, "Our men are withdrawing. The Lord has re-entered into the town, and his forces, well, rather his retinue, is moving towards the seat of power. Our people have made sure that they're aware that it's being occupied, but it is ready to be ceded back to its rightful rulership. It's the plan. It's still the plan." He says as he kind of, you know that Demos is not terribly interested in the power grab, but at the same time, jokingly, it's like, yeah.
I mean, I assume we have something lingering here after he's gone.
Oh, well, certain. Absolutely correct. We are currently invested very much in the Hall of Arcana as our waypoint to this location. I think we should have no issues returning back and securing a bit more. But as it stands, the folks that we have taken a pretty decent place of refuge in the former holdings of the Men of Faith. So we'll just continue business as they've been doing it. Probably a little bit more nicely for the people who are present in the town.
Oh, absolutely. Must be nice.
Should be good.
If you're on your way back to the Hall of Arcana and you have any questions, the Hand of Mudas here could be quite invaluable.
I'm certain that the ins and outs of the Hall of Arcana's nature are going to be changing. If the Hand of Mudas, his statement earlier, is to be held as the truth in the matter. So I won't be prying too deeply into that matter because I don't think a place of scholarship is really somewhere where our dirty hands should be placed.
Oh, are we talking out loud in front of everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, because, yeah. Well, a dirty hand, I think not. We're just here trying to help these people and keep them protected. I mean, there's...
No, of course. He kind of leans in.
Should we need use of that tower? Perhaps it might be beneficial to have an ally know a thing or two about what we're doing.
He kind of leans in and he says, I was thinking this was probably going to go around more about, like, Cho, if you get my meaning. And you take a second and think in the Argot tongue, and you realize that he was planning on using the Hall of Arcana before the Hand of Mudas declared it was going to be a school. He was planning on using it for a fencing position. So very illegal shit would be happening in the Hall of Arcana, and moving stuff out of this place to other places. But he's not going to make a school, also a bed of villainy.
I say something to him in cant that I will type you inside chat.
Got it.
Vincent sighs deeply.
All right.
And yeah, as I said, the hand could be quite invaluable in that region and the tower in general. He's going to know more about that place than I think anybody in this entire region now.
He kind of looks over at the hand as you kind of make your gestures, and basically, for subtle Argot, you kind of see him kind of close his hand like this, and say, "Blankets cover sheets, sheets cover beds, beds are warm," and Demos kind of goes, and then kind of looks over at the hand like, "Huh."
The town must have warm beds.
He looks back.
So, can I just, for how I'm going to roleplay this questioning, you're saying this is in Cant. They're not actually just speaking another language out of, like, they're, like, I wouldn't be able to tell they're talking to each other, right? It's hidden.
Argot is a series of hand gestures, like, sweeping gestures, sign language, in addition to analogies.
Okay, so it's not. I don't know they're
right.
actually saying it. It's just normal talk.
When Demo said this, we don't want to make this like Cho. What he was referring to is a different thief, and how that bakery in Mudas is like literally a place where bad shit happens.
Okay, then I take back the whole Psy thing.
Sure.
Honestly, I know it's a little thing, but like to me, as long as I don't know who he's saying that, it sounds like he's all the up and ups. He wants to really help this town. Everything's cool. So never mind.
100%. That is what we're saying.
If you want to make an insight check, you can to determine what they might be talking about directionally, but not getting an accurate message here.
I'm fine with that as long as I feel like I didn't want to feel like we're gonna speak another language. They don't know what we're talking about, kind of thing. As long as it's not that, I'm cool.
Thieves get an entire class feature to be able to do that, and so do druids. So when druids start doing it, you're gonna be pissed off there too.
Well, but I don't know they're doing it right now because they're hiding it in the speech. So I'm not pissed off at all.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're talking about warm beds for the people in the city.
Cool, like it. Cool, it sounds great. We absolutely need to do that.
Thumbs up. But Demos kind of is looking at the hand kind of curiously and kind of looks over at you and says, "Great." And says,
It's great to have a face.
"I'll make arrangements post haste." And he tips the hat. Malige. Probably the last time I'll get to do that. Kind of strolls out with a swagger and heads back out into the city. Papers are being deposited upon your desk because
I'm just pouring over them.
Yep, it sounds like Barod has been reclaimed. It looks like the western front is moving supplies and reinforcements for Bluegate. They should be within a 6 day. They should arrive in Bluegate.
Neat. Do we have supply lines for Purple Light and Bonrock?
So the supply lines through Purple Light and Bonrock are limited because Bonrock doesn't really have a lot to offer in the way of supplies that would be really necessary right now. What we're looking for is food. We're looking for perishables. Purple Light has no farming community to speak of other than supplementary for its own people. There's really not much to fleece out. So in the way that's possible, yes. And
at the very least of those two, I would have liked to send out delegates to at least start communication.
Okay.
We don't need them yet, but we should end up with hefty supplies here. I mean, we're right on the crossroads.
Right.
So we can also be their suppliers.
Gotcha. The other thing that you would have noted, and probably the second that Shambles and the like kind of showed up, is put out some paperwork to make sure that trade routes with Kelswar, a fishing community to the south, and Banser are reconnected, which they kind of dissipated in the last day or so with the March of the Asventen.
Does Bluegate not have its own fishing?
It does. It does.
We're on, like, right off the coast.
But all its fishing men just went to go fight in a battle. Yeah.
Make it sure. And then also trying to get stuff started. We got to get a Barod refounded.
Yeah, a small commission has kind of gone out there to survey the damage, but they're not there to reestablish.
And there was another pretty decent-sized town west of there, right?
Further out west is the West Fields, and the West Fields
there were men that you called upon.
Yeah, there's fortifications out there. There's basically old battle lines that were drawn during the Civil War that are still maintained by the now the High Church's armies instead of the King's armies.
Start having some of the clerical people around here putting up together drafts and stuff to send to the capital. Perhaps we can pay some of the families from surrounding areas to move into Barod and refound it.
When you said clerical, the first thing I thought of was clerics. I'm like, no, they all went to the battlefront. You mean people who work on papers and stuff?
Ones, yeah.
Yeah, perfectly fine. So yeah, he seems very busy. You can feel free to interject anybody who's present.
Would Brooklyn be there? Because I was with the Curiosus party. So.
That's right. That you haven't arrived yet. Yeah. Sorry.
So it would be Benson and Grok, yeah? Because they came back through the teleportation circle?
Correct.
Yeah, but Grok would just be watching what Raya is doing from a distance and would say, the blessings of Uru are clearly upon you, Raya. Well done.
Back, but yeah.
No. And Grok is thinking, like, no, this is what brought you back, dude.
I think it was Lamac all along.
Knowledge.
So, Brooklyn, you would be entering into the city. You would see that these strangers, who appear to be acting as kind of patrols or city watch kind of move up to the group and have an exchange with the Curios's attendants, specifically the cleric who we saw last session. The cleric then speaks to the Curios. The Curios nods and gestures. The cleric walks over to you and says, "You've been welcomed into the Curios's retinue. If you continue with us, we're heading up to his estate."
All right, I'll go with you.
All right. You enter in through the doors. You would see that Benson, Grok, and Raya are present. It still seems that some busy work is being handled by Raya, and you can see that the Curios is being carried in on kind of like a palanquin outside as the doors open. But you see him kind of they offer to take him in gently, and he kind of shrugs them off in a way. Uses his sword as a cane and starts kind of making his way into the establishment. The cleric staying close by, ever so often kind of offering his arm or shoulder, the Curious refusing it and seemingly getting upset by this. It looks like whatever wound was placed upon him, healing was not something that would aid him. And he enters in kind of holding himself up on his sword, looks to you and says, "Zadok Mishrael."
I would stand up, say welcome home.
It is the capability of a Curios who is placed with land and title to grant reward regarding matters of heroism during times of conflict. If what I hear is correct, you see the clerk who's just passing the papers off next to you kind of nods her head. The Lord kind of looks to you and says, "And it would seem that is so. I believe I owe you a great debt." So then, Saint, you rose to the occasion. For what purpose? Is there a method I should understand? Is there something that you seek within the city? Some aid that I can benefit you?
I'm only here to help these people. They were under duress. They were without leadership. I did what I could to remove the stains and address what I could.
He looks over to the clerk who's next to you and says, you would know her name as Megan. He says, "Megan, please, fetch the ceremonial sword." She nods her head and kind of moves away. You would know her as kind of like the main kind of attendant for the lordship, and she's kind of taking... she kind of instructed you a bit on the early parts, first couple of hours of the first day, and you very quickly kind of glommed onto the political nature.
Kind of the left hand of the chair.
Yeah. And she was kind of surprised too, so I mean the two of you kind of bounced off of each other pretty well and worked really well in making sure the necessaries were handled.
Synergy.
The Curios kind of steps forward to you and says, "I serve the Azurite throne. I serve the lands of Mudis. I serve the city of Bluegate. I have claimancy over all that comes in from the Cloudy Lake and all that descends from the Icefang Mountains. It is my responsibility to ensure that all citizens of Osiria who take homestead within the walls of Bluegate are protected, kept warm, and kept fed. In my time of need, you rose to the occasion and took on that responsibility as your own." She returns with a very ornate sword and hands it to him hilt first, and he draws it from the scabbard. The blade is made out of platinum, but you can see that it has kind of a bluish kind of sheen to it, almost like it's glowing blue. He raises the sword up and he says, "If you will allow me to honor you, I would ask that you kneel before the gods here."
Sure, I do so.
"What god do you serve, if any?"
The Mac.
Then by the right of the even-handed judge, he taps you on your left shoulder, and by the right of your god Lamac, he doesn't seem to know that one, so he doesn't give it any other titling, I knight you, Sir Saint Mishrael. raises the sword up, kind of places it to his brow, and then kind of gestures off to the side. You see her kind of slip the scabbard back onto it and take it from his hand. And by all rights, you are afforded... he kind of takes a second to breathe. A homestead here in Bluegate. I will make sure to find the most acceptable homestead that is available amongst those who had fallen in combat, and ensure that their families are taken care of in another estate. You'll be granted that land and title, but beyond that, you are free to carry on, as your freedom and capability is what has protected our city. I would not force you into any bindings, though Atavius would want it, a powerful servant such as yourself. The cleric kind of comes over to kind of catch him as it looks like he's about to faint. You see him kind of accept the shoulder for a second, and then kind of raise himself back up. I need to be seated. He gestures past you and moves towards his throne and kind of sits down upon it. And you understand that there's kind of in your mind, like a hatred of the kind of rulership that you're more familiar with in your past. But it seems that Kyrios of Bluegate isn't malevolent. He genuinely believes the oaths and the honor that he seems to attempt to uphold here. And he sits.
I can respect that. While I would accept a piece of property to have my name assigned to it, don't go about moving people around. Let them keep their own homes. Should it become vacant in the time, I can always come back to reclaim it. This new body appears to have some longevity.
As you are probably not familiar with the traditions of the Osirians, it's not terribly good luck to stay in a home that is owned by someone who fell in battle.
Even if you're the family of the person that has fallen?
Correct. Typically, homes are sold out or traded. The reason why is if the titles of the home, the binding contracts, are left as they are, it's possible that the ghosts of the fallen can return to those places.
Interesting. Well, if that is as it must be, don't bother saving the best for me. Whatever's left over when you're done getting these people new homes, that's fine.
Humble.
To appease your gods and my own.
Humble. Acceptable. I will look for a young knight or squire who had a state then. Megan, if you would. It should not be hard. I will be taking battle reports as soon as the members of the militia are ready to field them out. The cleric says. The cleric says, I have those, milady. If we may adjourn. And she says, of course. And the two of them kind of stroll off to her office. Him with a ledger. Brooklyn, in the time that you were kind of moving, every night you would have seen the cleric kind of writing in this ledger, and you would have noted that he was taking toll of everyone who had fallen in the conflict. Basically, it's like in school when they do roll call, he was basically doing that for an army. But yeah, you sit there with the Kyrios present. I understand you are probably amidst business.
Not to be disrespectful, but you do look worse for the wear. If you
going,
need a few days to try to rest up some more, I can handle the desk.
I was going to ask you for the very thing you offered, so...
Same page. And then as you start to feel better, we can start to go over some of this.
Indeed. He nods and gets up. A couple of people seem kind of like wary, and he kind of marches purposefully up to where he calls his own personal apartments in the estate. leaving you lot to yourselves.
So, does Ryan know we defeated Calorith?
I received reports.
Okay, I didn't know. I wanted to know, like...
I signed off on them.
Okay. Fair enough, I guess.
Also, as a reminder, is you were kind of responsible for the Curios's forces winning the day in that
Yeah,
regard.
supply lines.
Yeah, and the spying, like seeing where they best go to ground. But yeah, as you
Raya, do you know?
Go ahead.
I would say, Raya, do you know of Donovan's plans?
I have not seen Donovan in quite a few days, actually. We wrapped up here with the business at hand, and he joined some of his frost giant companions outside of town and headed south. I assume he was joining the battle. I believe that's what he said he was doing.
He did.
And I have not seen him since. I assume he'll just keep on being himself and smiting the wickeds that he finds in the world.
He seems mighty.
Oddly so. Yes.
Do you all tell Raya what Donovan unveiled out in the battlefield?
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, I knew that. Just keep signing papers. How'd you guys caught up? Secrets.
So
everywhere.
As you all are talking, Benson found a desk sideways, I'm pretty sure, and has basically been just looking over these scrolls and been like really intent on those. You're pretty sure with the amount of lore or knowledge here, the only spell I don't think you're able to use is Water Walk. And Greater Restoration. Those two would be outside of the wizard spell list. But everything else should be able to be put into a book. And if you were to do that, you think that would probably take around 3, maybe 4 days. And you currently have the reservoir of magical inks available at the Hall of Arcana, so that shit's free.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you'd probably be a lot more comfortable amongst the books. They got everything you need over there. Just now noticing him sitting at some tiny desk in the corner, so I'm like, my passive 20, I couldn't find him. Jesus. Somebody put a bell on this kid.
Brooklyn's gonna ask Raya if does Bluegate have a farm, like a farmland of itself?
Not
a farm outside of the town.
Not really. Bluegate is, if you look at it, it's kind of built into kind of a cavity, kind of a recess that enters into the land there. The best way to think about their farming situation is it's mostly rice paddies, and then outside of that into the fields kind of north of them at the trisection, there are some farmlands that do supplementary thing, specifically grains.
Last time we were walking around on the city map, we walked out and saw a farm on the north side, right outside the gate.
Yeah, there's smaller farms where patches of lands are present, but they're not like big farms. They're not like feed the whole crew kind of farms.
Oh, okay, I was just gonna do some things to help the farming, but
sure. The farm that you would have seen outside, that was on the north side in the Crimson Scarf stuff, would actually have been a little bit further north. The old farm, the man outside. Stop it. The oh my god, you guys. Would have been just outside. It's a barley farm. It's mostly just for breweries. That's why he's friends with the Inky. Remember the guy who got the Benson body, or not the Daniel's body?
Daniel's body, yeah.
Benson Grok would take the Greater Restoration and Waterwalk scrolls that he could make use of.
Absolutely. You have a swim speed. Why the hell do you want to walk on water?
Alright, we're fighting.
But doesn't that affect more than just himself, I believe?
No.
No?
Unless you can cast it on somebody else. I don't know. I have a ring of water walking.
Water walk is cast on 6 individuals.
Yeah, so it's very useful.
Yeah.
Alright, neat.
But what I'm saying is Benson can't cast it.
That's right. So I just asked, Grok just asked Benson for the Waterwalk and Greater Restoration scrolls. He already knows Greater Restoration, but he could use it as a scroll, and he can copy Waterwalk into his spellbook.
No, you can't copy things into your spellbook.
I can't copy things into my spellbook.
You don't have a spellbook.
I could just druid it, right?
Right.
Can I read a scroll?
Yeah, you can cast a spell off a scroll, but for you it's just an extra charge of that spell specifically.
And so then it goes away after I use it.
correct.
Okay, well, I'll take them.
Cool. Then what happens?
Can you
Well,
add
I've got to
the-
finish up this paperwork.
Can you add the room of flying to my thing? It won't let me add it.
Okay.
Before I go, he kind of hinted to the fact of wanting to change the tower into more of a school for teaching all people who would like to learn magic. It seems as you would be the person to go through for this at this time. How do you feel about that? And would it be something that we could start on sometime soon?
Well, people definitely need knowledge. The more captures we have in the area, I think the better, especially given what's become this area as of recent. If you wish to start a school, I don't think anybody would want to stop you from that.
Fantastic. I have a
No.
few that I feel that I would like to send for to possibly be our first students to get them along their way. So
The
I
Curious'
would,
daughter from back in Purple Light.
one of them, yes,
I
but
think you're a little
also
sweet on her.
what?
They said they're signing papers, just talking to you at the same time.
It was more the kid from the shop that I'm looking for.
Which shop?
No, sword
The-
shop.
Yep.
Oh, here, the one you were doing tricks 4 years ago.
Yes.
No, if he's adept, maybe he would like a chance at it. I don't know. He didn't really seem the type.
We'll see. We can take a look at
Perhaps.
it. I'm going to send out a missive to everyone, letting them know that we are open and accepting applications, and if somebody would like to apply for the school, they are more than happy to.
If you'd like, you can take a scribe and start preparing drafts, but it would need to go through the offices of the Curious before you can just announce that this school is being founded.
No, that's fine. Yes, I understand the steps that need to be taken, but I would
Rye
like
the
to-
bureaucrat.
Amongst that and the bag I gave you, I think you've got several days' work ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
You may as well get yourself acquainted with the tower. I know some of my associates were wanting to do something there. I'm not quite sure what, but if you could be of help to them, that'd be much appreciated.
Benson, is it solely a school of wizardry?
just magics in general.
Okay, because I would be Grok would be a visiting professor of druidic
Absolutely.
arts.
Yeah, no.
Adjunct.
That's right.
Awesome. Have a nightly school in there as well for paladin magics.
Our game's over. We're all just teachers at the school now.
Oh my god.
It's too close. This is not a game anymore. It's work. No, no.
Honestly,
No.
honestly, yeah. If you want to shift into Andy's real life, I mean, we can do that. Andy,
Dope. We just
I'll
founded a
give you
college.
paper to grade.
it's like Andy. Wow, you did a really great job of grading papers all the rest of the week in real life. It's Sunday, 5 p.m. I'm gonna need you to start grading papers.
I have midterms coming in by midnight tonight. Great. Perfect.
Anywho. Benson, are you heading back to the Hall of Arcana?
Yes, I will.
Brooklyn, where are you heading into the city or?
I was going to go out to a safe area and practice on the broom.
Rooklyn,
I'm imagining I'm not adept at it.
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah, those flying brooms are fun. If you genuinely want to do something for the town and practice your flying, and we're working on getting fuel to the homes to keep them warm at night, you might meet up with Tom on the north side. He's trying to get the wood in town. Maybe you can make some deliveries. Kiki.
Ha! Inspiration. Gave me inspiration.
Awesome. Delivery service. I love it.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Okay, and then Grok.
Yeah, Grok would go with Benson if he, following Dumbledore. He's gonna-
Yeah. All right. Okay, so you head back to the Hall of Arcana. Demos is present, and he says, Hand of Mutis. Kind of tips the hat. It's a strange group. I have to keep on giving accolades to people before we even begin the conversations. As I understand it, you would be okay with me setting up a situation in the basement of the Hall of Arcana. Is that accurate?
Can you?
We probably shouldn't do it out here in public. If you have a quieter place you'd like to retire to, we can have that dialogue.
That sounds fine.
Very good. He looks to Grok. Is he a welcome party?
Absolutely. He's a traveling companion for a long time now.
Perfect. Trusted friend of yours, trusted friend of Raya's, trusted friend of Demos's. You head to wherever you secret away to, and he says, I will be plain and I will be simple with you. You understand that Bluegate is kind of a hub, a location that has a lot of different avenues of traffic that will be coming through it, be going out of it, especially if the Iron Road is built through Bluegate. That said, Modus probably won't receive the Iron Road for some time, and our connection magically with Modus through your teleportation circles has granted a certain ease of access for the Mardigan family. And the second he says that, you go, what? Because nobody knew. And he kind of does one of these. We have some things we would like to be moving through the region, specifically to the West Fields, specifically to Bellum. And we would really like the ability to move them through this establishment.
What would those be?
Stolen items, and potentially narcotics.
Benson would not be okay with this. I don't believe this would be a good idea.
Well, I was under the understanding that you would be more agreeable. What part of this transaction is less than agreeable to you?
The illegal parts of it.
Sure. So
we are here to make a school for learning, and I believe that our friend Raya has approved of this.
Now, I do understand your hesitancy regarding the law and your understanding of the balance and order presented here in Bluegate. Such a strong and powerful thing that was literally teetering on the edge of collapse, but for the intervention of the Mardigan family. Don't you agree?
I agree that the help was there, but
is there a specific thing that I've mentioned in the movement of items? Are you not keen on the mind-altering substances, or was it specifically the stolen items that I had mentioned? I assure you, the stolen items wouldn't have been taken from anyone who could not benefit, or could not sustain themselves without said items. The Mardigan family does not rob from the poor. We specifically steal from people who deserve it.
Robin Hood.
And he kind of looks at the Hall of Arcana, just like we did here. People who deserve to have things taken from them. I understand you not being agreeable with the narcotics. Not too many people are a fan of devilweed, but the Mardigans make a pretty decent profit moving it from the Southron Plains out through the environs of Mudis. A lot of folks in the military out in the West Fields enjoy the substance, and like you said, it's not particularly legal, but it's not particularly hunted down and sought out to be stopped.
Who says that someone deserves to be stolen from?
They do.
How so?
Well, if someone is taking everything in as they so desire it and holding all of that wealth to themselves, and not sharing it with anyone, well then, the Mardigan family absconds with that itemry and ensures that it's sold out for a decent profit to someone who might appreciate it more.
Appreciation and need are two very different things.
The Mardigan family does a lot of charity work, which you would know to be accurate.
I guess it's basically the mafia rolling in, right?
Correct. The Mardigan family is very much like the mafia.
John, they had a presence or did not have a presence already?
In Bluegate, no. The Men of Faith ruled Bluegate.
Grok would turn to Benson and whisper, it seems we should consider we might need to set some boundaries here.
Yes, and I would look at him, and I mean, it wouldn't be a whisper. It's like there might need to be some hard boundaries to where you can definitely tell that Benson is frustrated with this. This is supposed to be a school for learning, a school for bettering people. not a hub for transporting stolen items.
I can assure you, we do not wish to make this place sullied in its inception. Um, I was brought to the understanding that you might be willing to allow for this trafficking through the hall, specifically the teleportation circle present therein. Um,
I will be.
Who told you that?
I can't really tell you. They are probably about sleeping well in a warm bed at the time being. That said,
We're here to help for the good of the world and the good of the people, the
Great.
good people, not evil. So
well, oh no, assuredly, we are not evil. We are self-serving, but we are not trying to summon dragon demons and bring about the end of the entirety. We're not robbing people and murdering them on the roads like the Crimson Scarves were. We are not brigands. We are thieves. A very distinct difference. Sometimes we are assassins. Sometimes we are spies. But we are never murderers.
John Seaside chat.
Yep.
Grok would look at Benson as if to get them out of here so we can talk.
No, I know.
It would definitely be a we will have to think on this. I will have to talk to others as well.
Let's not end the discussion here yet. Negotiations haven't concluded, and I've brought forward what I seek, what I would like in this transaction, and I've asked you to set boundaries and also to maybe determine what it is that you might need regarding this arrangement. Now, you see, as I said, we do take things from people who are undeserving. And as I mentioned, we've already taken quite a bit from this establishment. And it's currently held up in our possession. Magical items. Things that were being utilized poorly by the parties present here.
Let's think about this then. If you are taking these items from people who as you say, no longer need it. Number one, the narcotics are never to go through here. We will not.
No devil weed.
I will not be. No, none. But I would ask for 2 of your more talented individuals to possibly help teach some classes, and also for your company to supply with items such as of the magic nature for helping breaking down with the classes that would deal with residium, deal with possibly making magic items, and just for the benefit of the school.
So let me make sure I understand you correctly, and I just want to be certain, because we are coming to an agreement, verbal as it may be, but words spoken is the most important thing to the family. So I want to make sure the words are spoken correctly. That said, you do not want what would be for us the most lucrative portion of this arrangement, Devilweed, to move through the Hall of Arcana, or whatever you rename the school. You see, it being so positionally close to the West Plains or West Fields makes it perfect as a position for us to move that material to the people who wish to purchase it, the soldiers out in the field. But this is off the table entirely for you, correct?
I will not have it go through the school.
It would not go through the school directly. It would come in through the basement, where a copy of the teleportation circle you are aware of is present, as I found. And it seems when you cast a teleportation circle, a slight differentiation in the markings. I'm not an arcanist. I couldn't tell you exactly what that means, but there are 2 teleportation circle connections here in the Hall of Arcana. One subterranean, and one, as I'm sure you're aware, higher up in the hall. We would utilize the subterranean basement location and move the items out. We would not sell those items to anyone present in Bluegate. Do not. You don't typically party where you do business.
Okay, I guess out of character stuff. Do I know this devilweed?
Devilweed is marijuana.
Okay,
but it's like
different.
super marijuana.
So it's not meth or something like that.
No,
It's not
they're not.
something-
drugs that would be bad if he'd said it. If he said, "Well, yeah, we're dealing in liquid pain," it would have been an immediate fuck no. If he had said, "Oh yeah, no, blue lips, we deal in blue lips," and you would have been like, "Hell no." Yeah, liquid pain requires killing someone to get it, and the blue lips one is
okay.
also
So it's
good.
just marijuana, basically.
It's basically just marijuana. Yeah.
That would be something that I feel that I personally would not do, but it would be something that maybe one of the students would be able to do, but I won't have a hand in that part.
Looks at Grok.
We have our transportation method.
Actively packing a
we
pipe.
We have an
Yeah,
individual
that's
who
true.
can move us from Mudis to here at our
Well,
leisure.
yeah, I didn't understand what the drug was, to be totally honest. That's why
Fair.
I was kind of like, what? No.
Yeah.
But okay.
Brock would turn to Benson and say, "We have just dealt with the trouble of wizards here who have not acted for the benefit of all. We must. I think that you must ensure that continues."
That's where we're at for the betterment of all.
So just so you understand, Demo says, we have a means of entering into the Hall of Arcana at our leisure. We could enter either circle. I have an individual who allows us to transfer back and forth. That's how Raya was able to get in contact with us initially, and it was effectively how we were able to take over the city so easily and handedly. That said, I don't technically need your permission. We could do it illicitly, but I am not a type of person who enters into an establishment of a friend, or at least a friend of a friend, without agreements. And I feel this could behoove you, and certainly can benefit us. So, if you are willing to allow that material to pass through the city, specifically through the whatever you're calling this establishment, great. If that's back on the table, that makes this even more fruitful for me, and me more willing to offer you more matter. Magic items are not an uncommon thing out in the road, out in the wilds, and as of late, from our opposition. After going through the barracks of the militia, I was able to find 28 crimson scarves, which are currently common magic items. Low tier, easily broken down, and easily turned into residuum for those who wish to train. I could hand those over today. No problem. I will also be finding more such magical items.
Correct.
Those passing through here, the ones that I don't feel need to be sold elsewhere to parties who are interested in them, could be left behind here. And perhaps, funds that you would be putting towards creating such items for the destruction of such items could be instead kept. And maybe a small fraction of what you would be spending in creating those items could be given to the family. As a thank you, a token of assistance. Not necessary. Absolutely not necessary to the agreement we're having. The agreement stands as such. We are allowed to move freely through the
basement.
The basement of the Hall of Arcana, or whatever you eventually call the establishment, and we will give you effectively a leasing fee on that throughout each month that we're present here. Let's say 1,000 residuum worth of magic items. He agrees.
We can work with that. For right now, it will be a working contract, but as for right now,
this is an agreement of word. If deed changes, then word will be re-exchanged. If, for example, you feel that it is necessary to stop such trafficking for whatever reason, we can certainly bring it up. But
would you be my contact for this then?
I will be visiting Mudis, so you know where I am. He's the barkeep.
Yeah.
You can certainly come directly to me. I know you have the power to do so. But I believe I will be replacing the former established Thieves Guild in the city with one of mine own. I have yet to decide who will be leading that matter. I have some ideas. If you're planning on sticking around too long and that ends up leaving Raya to a seated position, mayhaps the Master Assassin can take his position here and serve in that regard. I don't know why she's laughing at me.
She's laughing at the way Brent's eating his candy.
Look,
He's making it last.
it's
He
better
really
when
is.
you if you pick a couple off and you get like an empty spot that's cleaner to bite through. It just
She
tastes
can't,
better. I don't know what
she
you
can't
want.
hear you.
It's just funny.
But, anyways, agreed. Thank you so much, Endemutis. I do trust you are aware of the code of the thief. Contract spoken in word cannot be uttered again. And he looks to Grok. That goes for all parties interests or who were involved in the agreement.
Grok gives a little
Grog.
like a little growl, a low growl.
I'll take that as affirmation that you understand. Very good. I'll be on about my way. And you lot have a great time with the school. I do know that there are probably some interested parties in Mudis. I know that you might be able to convince Alrund Flashjaw into maybe migrating. He's not been terribly fond of the town, and he's a great potion maker.
I would write down the name, and I know him. It's
Yeah.
from Mudis, right?
Yeah.
I know him.
He lives right
So-
next door.
Right? Yeah. No. Got that. So okay, cool. Yeah. So I know of him. I will reach out to him, and we'll see.
Thumbsy upsies, and he heads on out, leaving you and Grok to discuss the matters after hand.
Heads are spinning. As a talker.
Yeah.
He's a master
Benson's
thief.
Benson's
Did you smoke too
grumpy.
much?
We just need to make sure that the wizards here are not having too much contact with these people. That'd be bad.
It'll end up being 0. You guys will not know that they're there.
And Grok would then say, the vacuum was left. It was going to be filled by someone, by something.
These
Unfortunately,
guys have been in Mudis for decades, so
Better the evil you know than the evil you don't.
And you didn't even know. You didn't even know that they were there.
literally right underneath you for years, and you guys didn't know it.
so I'm thinking about calling the school the Hall of the Guiding Hand.
I love it.
I mean, Hall of the Fallen Warriors, and put fall as all caps because, I fall off the cliff all the time.
It's not a school for you.
It's not a paladin school.
It could be.
We're gonna have some paladins in there apparently, so I'm down with teaching all magics, man. But spread the love.
They probably won't like my paladin school because it won't be of whatever their god is. It'll be of mine.
How to stop falling damage.
I mean,
First spell is slow fall. Or feather fall. Anyway, so okay, cool. Yeah, Benson's grumpy. He didn't like that, but he understands the need for it as well.
Yeah. The only individual present in the Hall of Arcana who is readily available for you is that one scribe, whose name I had already forgotten. But yeah, everyone else has been summarily dealt with, ended, primarily. Jaroskak, that's right. Right? Sounds right. Let's scroll up.
He would definitely get to transferring the scrolls over into the spellbook. He'd give the scrolls to Grok that he requested, and so yeah, he would start planning for the school, and also thinking about all the bureaucratic paperwork that would need to be done, looking into it and see what he would need to do with the Curios to make this happen.
Okay. Knowing full well that you are a divination expert, if you were to teach at the school, that would probably be your field of study. You do know that there are 7 more schools of magic, and there are definitely sub-schools, split schools, different styles of teaching that can kind of fall in. Or you can be dedicated and focused on one specific aspect of magic.
I want to go for what each person wants or feels that they are.
That means for
best in.
a universalist school, you would need at least 8 teachers.
Yep.
And that's if you're just doing wizardly magic.
Again, we're starting small. I understand it's not going to be a boom. We're Harvard,
Right.
but I mean, it's a start. That is the goal.
Perfectly acceptable. There's definitely some sending spells you might want to send off to known parties who might be interested, and I'll make those up before next session. Probably about 3 contacts of mages that were on your caliber to start with the game that you would have contacted. I think you contacted one of them prior. They just haven't really gotten back to you on that matter.
Yeah, I sent out some notes to everybody. So.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny in the future. People are like, yeah, I got my degree in magic from the community college.
You call it the community college. There you go.
It is community now. That's what it is.
Oh my god. Okay. Awesome. I've never seen a school of magic get formed by a player character. That's pretty dope. Gronk, hanging out with them. Brooklyn, sorry, what were you doing?
I'm practicing on
Practicing
my broom
wood.
and helping do stuff like move wood in and stuff as well.
Well, not at first, because that's really not really...
Gotta get used to this broom first.
Yeah, you're not terribly good at it. There's no real roles for it, and in the book it says you're automatically like okay with it. But I mean, I would imagine to be more of a Harry Potterian kind of crazy shenanigan.
Definitely funnier too.
Yeah, you do spend some time falling, but you're used to it.
Yeah.
Got him. But yeah, it definitely feels like you get an understanding of how it works after about an hour or so's worth of playing with it. And every so often, as you're moving and helping move the materials, you do have kind of like a hiccup where you're like, oh, and you kind of are breaking bad habits that you started with. Ideas that you had regarding flying that were present before you started utilizing the broom. But yeah, helpful throughout the first day. Benson starts doing bookwork. Raya's still finishing up with bookwork. And yeah, Grok's hanging around the community college. Okay, that's day 1. Like I said, it's going to take about 3 days for Benson to get all of his stuff finished out. I would say that the Hall of Arcana would probably have enough inks for you to utilize for the creation of those spells and those spells alone. But anything else outside of those spells, or the transference of those into your book, anything outside of those will have to be paid by you. And you'd probably utilize your massive cache of Residuum to do just that. But yeah, open table, day 2. What are you doing? Raya, you'll note that day 2 has Megan taking a lot more control. It seems like she understands there's going to be a transference of power, and so she's taking more of the responsibilities to herself, and kind of making sure that she'll basically be the balance shifter. It'll go from basically you passing off the decision making to a point where there's no longer any decisions that really need made for a couple of days, and she'll basically follow out all of your transactions that you've been making until such a time, a couple days later, when the Curios would be ready. Make sense?
Yeah, I would have either her or one of the other clerical workers around here fetch Benson and let him know that I've had some ideas for him.
Okay. Alright, so Benson would receive a note as he's continually studying. Looks like he's drawing up like a big old chalkboard with like an outline of the school, and he's kind of noting where each one of the... I'm going to have to draw this school, aren't I?
Not in crayon, because it's all I could find.
Or at least find a map.
You can't reach the grown-up tables.
Yeah. That said, you would receive a note, and Ryan is asking for your audience.
I would go.
Alright. Ryan would be at the desk that you last left him at.
You requested me, sir?
Hilarious. I've had a couple of thoughts, and I'm going to be losing grasp of this town rather quickly, which is totally fine. I'm very tired of seeing my own name. If you recall back in Mount Rubii, when we were with the Frost Giants, there was a market there with an elf. I don't recall his name, but perhaps you do. He seemed to have items that shouldn't have been there. I don't know how he was getting them. He's got his own supply line. He may be of benefit to this town. Beyond him, the Frost Giants themselves, there's that large cache of Residuum that we buried. Perhaps we can fold them into this mix, and they could dig that back out and start a supply line shipping some of that in here to your school, as well as their own river that they've been filtering, where the residuum just flows through the town.
It would be helpful, but again, I'm fearing the question of what's in it for them.
Supplies, food, anything they like. We are establishing trade routes to nearly every town around here as we speak. I mean, things are being built. Ruby Eye was not a place I had thought of initially, as it was very cold, and they seem pretty well, but perhaps there's something here we can get to them.
Would I know of any teleportation circles towards there, John?
No.
There's none.
Not that you're aware of.
No, this is going to be a walk. This is a hard line. I mean, Barrod's going to have to get founded, and they're going to have to ship it.
Okay.
Unless you know of someone that can create a teleportation circle and feels like spending the next year up in Ruby Eye putting that in.
Yeah.
I think it would be something that we should look forward to in the future, but it's definitely not something that will be done quickly.
No, I don't think quickly at all, but that amount of residuum that we found is that can't be left alone.
Yeah.
I agree.
And to be honest with you all, there really isn't anything pressing that's like attacking the realm anymore. I mean, the Ozmiten leader was being chased off by Darna the last time you recall hearing of him. The leader of the Men of Faith was defeated, sort of. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, it doesn't seem that the Crimson Scarves have any presence anymore. They're all but gone. And the Cult of the Dragon's leader has been destroyed.
What those Dark Fund guys, they ever get their shit sorted out?
No, nobody's gone over to help them out. And you don't even know if that mountain's still smoking or not.
Poor guys. Are my goblin friends okay? I never did get to go back and check on them.
Don't know.
Me either.
There's a lot. There's a lot of things you could go questing and doing, but there's also the fact that there's nothing that's like, we're being attacked. They're gonna summon a dragon god. It's more of a
Peace has been found. It's pretty weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree that these are all things we should start moving towards. It would be a good idea.
Pull those political strings, and as you're founding the school, you're going to need help there. So perhaps somebody there would be willing to take the trek out to Ruby Eye and either set up a circle or just establish a rapport with the locals.
Rapport would be a good start. Do you have anyone that you would recommend?
Aside from us, I don't have any friends, so I don't know.
Well, then maybe it's time for a trip to start this friendship.
You are the people person.
I will go convene with the rest of the group and see what they feel would be best, and we'll go from there.
Neat. I'm going to keep signing papers.
Yeah, most of your transactional work throughout the day has kind of gotten to a point where you're more or less free.
Signing off that I am leaving.
Yeah.
I'm not assuming power permanently.
Unless there's anything that you want to do, like, ultimately, you're pretty much passing the torch to Megan, who for the next day or so will basically just be making sure everything you put in order regarding movement of materials, movement of supplies, and redetermination of the supply lines to the fishing communities to the south is connected. Because, yeah, Blue Gate does have its own fishing community, but because it's in the Narrows and the Shallows and kind of a turbulent area where the water is basically waterfalling a lot, there aren't a lot of ships that are going out from there. Kelswar and Banster, on the other hand, are dedicated fishing communities, and Banster is also a logging community. So those communities actually feed Blue Gate in that respect. So
I'm definitely signing off and keeping that stuff active, but everything else I was just talking about with Benson, I'm definitely trying to expedite some forms that benefit our group a little more specifically, but still the town.
Connectivity-wise. Okay, about midday for you then. The Curio, or mid-afternoon rather, as you're kind of coming to a close, the Curios does descend down from his estates. He seems to be a bit more healthy, but
spring in a step.
It does seem that he is favoring one leg than more so than the other. He kind of looks to you and says, Zadok. He seems a bit confused. Like he was given a bunch of paperwork to deal with, and he's been kind of dealing with that kind of mind warp. Like you're behind on a bunch of shit, and you're just slowly trying to get caught up where the other guy was, leaving off. And he says to you, I wanted to be sure. Is there anything pressing that I need to be concerned about? Any changes to the city? From what I understand, the Men of Faith were obliterated, and their estate has been granted to another party.
They were all but obliterated. There's some details we'll go in on that one later. Yeah, some associates of mine they've been working out of Mudis. They've done great work there.
Yeah, a fellow named Demos, by the way, is now the title holder for the Men of Faith's man.
He's a good man. He's done a lot of great work in Mudis. Very charitable. He's likely to take up residence there and lead a small party, doing similar work to the Men of Faith, but very much on
I hope not.
The up and up. Oh, no. Please don't belittle them. Not as that, but they're there to fill a certain void. And they will always be at your call should you need them.
Be plain with me. The markings that I understand here, and as he kind of raises up the deed from a couple papers he has on hand, the markings here, this specifically denotes Thieves Guild markings. I'm not as blind as most people understand it. Are they members of a known guild?
They are. The Mardigans.
Perfect. I don't mind the Mardigans too much.
As I said, they've done pretty great work, honestly. Sure, it can be a little sour, but
we'll have to ensure that they aren't doing anything in the walls of the city if they are going to be present here, but
of course.
I doubt they'll be as problematic as the Crimson Scarves and the Men of Faith have been as of late.
Oh, I'm not sure anyone could be.
Yeah. You're always going to have thieves, though, am I right?
You're not wrong.
Well, better it be a reputable group than a non-one. He shoves that paper back into his sheath there, and he says, any other pressing matters that I know that the mages of the Hall of Arcana have been dealt with, and I understand that the Hand of Mudis has probably absconded with most of the lore that's present.
No, I believe he intends to preserve as much of it as possible. He's actually very interested in opening a school there. He's taken the proper forms and has been filling those out. I'd like to get something started here, and perhaps Bluegate can be a new hub of knowledge in that realm.
I had no idea he was serious. Most mages stick to themselves and focus on their own studies, but
not this Benson. If he's got knowledge, he's gonna make you hear about it.
I guess the stories about him on the streets and being a pleasure to the common folk has been absolutely true. And
the man does love to perform.
Well, if there are any deeds or titles that are currently being held by dead parties that would have held the Hall of Arcana, I trust that you'd be able to sign it over to Master Benson.
Sure thing.
You have my...
are he and I the only two in the room at this point?
Correct.
Okay, then I would give him full information on that inky guy.
On the what?
The inky guy, that shadow-looking thing.
Oh.
Because that's something he needs to know about.
The Men of Faith were being... by some shadowy figure, you say? He kind of scratches his head. I don't know much about it, but there might be lore of it in the Hall of Arcana. I would suggest consorting with your associate, Benson, and seeing what you can't glean. It does sound like a demon, though.
We will send word of that. I had Jimmy DeClerc. You may be familiar with him. He was here upon your return. He's since left.
Must have missed him.
He did a quick run of the town. Far stronger than I am in this field. He's found nothing to be left.
Good to know. I will make sure that my cleric is aware of the matter, just to make sure that there's a second going over of the city to ensure that no demons are present. I believe the remaining knights should be able to determine and sense if such a thing would be present. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I think that's all of the business I really have for today. I understand that you've passed most of the responsibilities over to Megan.
Megan has assumed most of it. I'm still working on a few things. There's a couple trade routes I'd like to connect if possible, but I just don't know if it's going to work.
Before this matter rose up, and it's something I've kept in my private ledgers. He pulls out another piece of paper. We have agreements with the city of Bellum to connect the Iron Road up this way. They were intent on making sure that Bonrock was also party to the connection, and it would be going through Purple Light. I don't think the Curios of Purple Light is too keen on the idea, and I know that the city of Bonrock is not interested in too much outside influence other than the matters that they have at hand. This could be a pretty lucrative connection. Is this what you were thinking of, or a different connection?
That's not the one I was thinking of, because I stand up and walk over to the wall and start looking at a map and start just questioning, how did they intend to get an iron road here through Purple Light? I mean, it's barely here, and I'm pointing at it on the map.
From the south. They've been moving it from the town of Benish up through to Banser. I believe it will be connecting to Banser within the month.
Oh, they've moved much farther ahead than I knew. I know they've not yet even reached Mudis with that primary line.
The road split fork at Blackheart Lake.
Yes, I remember the fork. I've heard of the fork. I'm pointing at it on the map. I didn't know they'd advanced this far.
Yes. As you can see, the map currently shows that it's only just outside of Blackheart Lake.
So they wouldn't be connecting here from Purple Light. They'd be connecting Purple Light from here.
Correct. From the south.
Let me see. I'm just tapping on maps.
What I would like to see is this connection be made true, but I am not particularly keen in the manner of negotiations, and I don't think it's my place to try and act on behalf of the Council of Merchants out of Bellum. I know you are a bit of a wanderer, Mishrael, and you definitely have more of a leg for walking than I do after my wounding by those black blades. He grins. If you would be so kind, and perhaps travel to Bellum and see if you can't negotiate with them, and see if they are interested in sending or allowing you to act as a delegation for the Iron Road, and then make your way back up to Purple Light and Bonrock and secure these connections.
Perhaps I should start in Purple Light, and then they can send word that they wish the Iron Road to make it to them.
I don't know if any delegation has been sent from Bellum to there before.
No, but if they get the information ahead of hand and they know that the road is coming, they may want to jump in anyway.
I understand.
Strong connections in Purple Light anyway.
So you're saying warm the beds before you try and put someone in them?
Yes.
You're kind of like, that's a weird analogy. Why are you saying things? Because John can't come up with original shit. That's why.
Yeah.
It's not because he's a thief or anything.
But yeah, that could be a good connection to make.
If you could, that would be great. But this is not the connection that you were thinking of.
I'm not sure what he means now.
You weren't thinking of that connection. You were thinking of a different connection.
It sounded like the road was coming from the north, like it was going to hit Purple Light somehow before it hit Bluegate. I was like, how the hell are they going to get to the mountain?
No.
I understand now. It's going the other.
Your original idea before we started discussing this was a different connection. You wanted to form a trade route. Yeah.
So, how is your own personal rapport in Mount Rubii with the Frost Giants?
I can't say I have any. I know that there are Frost and Fire Giants up in Mount Rubii, and there's old statements of there being a massive volcano up that way, but
all those things are true. Those Frost Giants are pretty cool people.
I saw.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you met those guys. Pretty cool.
They were being led by the King of Fire.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, seems good. I have no idea why he didn't try and enter into the city and make pleasantries with me, but
he entered the city. He was occupied.
Huh.
Anyway, what was his title? The leader of the Frost Giants is a Yergel? Jarl, that's the word. So you are familiar with them.
No.
Tricked him.
Shit. He does a flip.
You should definitely treat with them. They're very good people.
Hmm.
Not only that, but they're sitting on a massive cache of residuum, if you're familiar with the substance.
I am.
It flows in their water, not to mention there are literal tons of it that they buried in rock for us. We're going to try to get that excavated. Perhaps they can start a trade route bringing that into the town. The hand, Benson, he could make good use of that, especially in the teachings.
I th-
We've also brought about some work with Megan to refound Barod. Perhaps some neighboring peoples can be brought in there and set that back up.
that was actually going to be my next point of interest. Yes, Barad has fallen, and you say reseed. What, a survey team has been sent, or
I believe survey teams have been sent, and
that's the move I.
I've surveyed it myself. It is a disaster.
Well, that's the move I would have made. I would have to specifically request that the capital city be informed that the
Oh, of
Kyrios
course.
has fallen in Barad, and that an elected lordship be placed in that spot. If there are no current denizens of the town, and that is my understanding, is that what
It was barren as I traveled through it.
fair? It would be necessary that the lordship be seated from the capital. And if you're heading south already to Bellum, you could continue further to the capital and see if you can't maybe request such a lordship be brought forth.
I'll have to address my party, but it seems like something we could do.
Be
I
the-
think at the very least, stakes could be claimed around Barod. The farming communities can be reestablished. Seems like there's plenty of good land around there that could be beneficial to everyone.
As you're aware, it's the duty of the lordship not to govern, not only to govern, but also to protect. You hear Megan kind of come out of nowhere, and she says, as if she'd just heard this last sentence, she says, "The militia men from the Westfields are on their way, my lord." My lords? My lieges? I don't know how to address you both at the same time. I apologize.
Just the one is fine.
Fair enough. She smiles. And she says, Raya, because you've been telling her to stop calling me that. And, actually, she would call you Mishrael, sorry.
Yeah, right.
She says, we could perhaps intercept them at Barad and have them stay there instead. Temporary placement to hold Barad. Or perhaps split their forces and send some to Blue Gate if you feel we need more defenses. He shakes his head.
And there's nothing really to hold at Barod. It needs a cleaning crew first. It needs clerics. It needs paladins. Those people need laid to rest. The ones that are left, the land needs leveled.
Megan kind of nods her head, and the Kyrios kind of looks to you and says, "Of course, but once the farmers start taking position there, they would need protection from possible
Of course.
things that would disturb the town, from the hamstring and from the ice fangs. I'll put that into action on my first day of business, Megan. For now, just let's see if the survey team comes back with anything differing from what Master Mistral stated regarding its state, and we will see what happens from there. Good, good, good. That one will be a little bit more intensive. I doubt the Iron Road is permitted to go that far west. That would be something you might want to inquire about. I also don't think the Iron Road would be able to go up Mount Rubii, to be completely honest.
I would have my doubts on that one also. I'd spoken to Benson about perhaps we could find someone with the ability to create a teleportation circle there.
No,
But that's a year of investment minimum.
that would. I don't know how that works. That was really dealt with by the Hall of Arcana. I assume we have one there.
You do.
Fair enough. Great. Yeah, I am going to head back to bed, but I'm glad we had this discussion. If it is within your power, please see if you can't make these connections with Purple Light, Bonrock, and more importantly, Bellum, to ensure that the Iron Road does not just end in Bluegate, but continues beyond.
Of course. I will wrap up these last few things I have here and probably just go ahead and pass things over to Megan and make my leave.
Sounds good. He heads on away. This would be day 2, effectively, that would be finishing out here. Brooklyn, during day 2, there really isn't much that I've kind of presented to you, but if you want to do anything in particular, if there's anything that you have in mind, you could probably use this day to get to back home to Banser if you wanted to, and then arrive back when you know that uh, Benson would be done with his studies. Or you could do something in Bluegate if there's anything you have in mind.
I just ride my broom back to Banter.
Oh, even shorter time. I forgot about the broom. Yeah, so yeah, you could get there in half a day. Well, let's see. How many squares is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It'd still take you a bit there. I think fly speed on that's what, 80? Something like that. So that's pretty fast.
It's 50 actually.
Oh, it's 50.
Yeah.
That's still shambles level speed, so
It's not.
he's a 55 in this body.
If he's walking.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, it can run. I mean, it can still go overland flight. Anyway, the point is you can make it back to Banser if you'd like. You pass over Kelswar, and you wouldn't see the broken up ship of Cloud, the Cloud Racer, the name of the family. Yeah, that assisted you. You wouldn't see their ship. It's not present. Do you stop in Kelswar or just continue on?
How much does Rooklyn weigh?
A couple 100 pounds.
If he hits the 200 limit, the broom will slow down substantially.
It's got plate, right?
He's got plate. Yeah, that will weigh it
But
down.
you're flying at 30 feet.
It's not the fastest thing for you. So then, yeah, it would take you the full entirety of the day just to make it to Kelswar. It may not be a good idea to travel that way. It's a bit further. Do you want to head south anyways?
If it takes most of the day, I'll stop at Kelsforge.
Okay. So yeah, when you arrive there, the people are kind of curious as to who you are and when you arrive. Some of them recognize you. One of them offers a spot in his warehouse, seaside warehouse, if you'd like to sleep there. But they say that if you ask regarding Cloud Racer, they tell you that they took on some repairs during the entirety of the last day, and then they made their way south. They had claimed that they had been attacked by the Leviathan of Cloudy Lake, known as Misty Eye, which is a massive serpent with cloudy eyes that apparently attacked their ship. You would know stories of Misty Eye.
I'll take rest there then.
All right. So the next day, I'm assuming you would have left the day of we started. So this would be the day that most of the discussion that just happened, and you'd head down to Banser and arrive at nightfall there. So in 2 more days, you'll arrive back. You arrive. The Crowd Racer is present, and the family is present. They're all fine, doing okay. They ask you how everything went, and stories are told, drinks are had. Is there anyone in particular you want to have a discussion with?
Not really. I was more just checking in on everybody.
Everyone seems good. Yeah, everyone seems good. They do say that they saw the mercenary pass through the day before. The halfling named Darna, she moved south.
Good to know.
Okay. Grok, during the day of, is there anything in particular besides hanging with Benson that you want to do in the city of Bluegate or anywhere else you want to go?
I do actually.
Go with it.
I would want to try to find if there's been any sightings of the chromatic dragons.
None in Bluegate.
Okay. Then there's really not much more I'd want to do than that. That's sort of his biggest concern at the moment.
Okay. All right. Fast forwarding, Brooklyn will arrive back. Raya will have exchanged ownership of the town and also kind of secured the Mardigan's place in the Men of Faith's tower. Would you have discussed with Benson the thing you mentioned to the Curios?
Which thing?
The thing that you mentioned to the Curios?
Oh, yeah. With Benson, yes.
Okay. So, Benson, as you're studying, Raya enters into the Hall of Arcana.
He would have studied it 2 days ago because I would have brought that to him the same day if I thought there was information in the tower.
Perfect. Then this would be that same night. And Benson's still laboriously writing with the inks. And Raya kind of just enters into your study as you're eating an ice cream cone.
Can I help you, sir?
Yeah, I want one of those.
I conjure him up an ice cream cone.
Fucking A. I don't even need to eat. I'm going to love this.
Yeah.
Number one, sorry about the Mardigan thing. It was going to happen. It's better you know about it and be able to call in a favor later if you need it. 2.
Appreciate it. Heads up before would have been good, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, you don't really get heads up on these things. Number 2, there may or may not have been a demon living in this town controlling the Men of Faith.
That's troublesome.
It
You
is.
said living or that was living?
I don't really know how demons work. It was here and then it left. We're pretty sure it's not here anymore. The Curios is semi-convinced there may be information on it here in the tower, and that's where you come in.
I will get on studying on it as soon as I can. Anything else I need to know?
I'm working on a trade route for you. I'm going to try to get the Curios to push that Residium down here. And,
We talked about that as well.
Yeah, so other than that, I think go ahead and start suiting up. We're headed to the capital. See ya!
Do you draw him out like basically a rendition of what you saw and kind of explain how it operated?
Yeah, I'm going to use all of his black crayons.
Okay. So basically a shadowy figure that seemed to have been controlling the Master of the Men of Faith like a puppet with shadowy strings. Once the man died, it became visible for a moment and then kind of faded out of existence. The drawing and the description and the activities require you to make either an Arcana or a Religion check, your choice.
I would do Arcana.
Okay. And Jeremy, before you forget, you already rolled for this and failed horribly.
All right.
22.
Yeah, 22 would tell you exactly kind of what you need to know and where you need to search for the information. You kind of stop for a second, set down your cone, and kind of head down into the library. Bullshit, take the cone with you.
Yeah, we're keeping these.
Yeah. No, this is with me.
I can read one-handed.
You head into the library and you find a book that you pull down and settle down onto the table. The title of the book is The Deceiver's Tools. It appears to have been written by an individual named Kelder. And you slide open the book and start looking through. And basically this book is literally like Demonomicon. It's just a series of demons that are kind of associated with individuals, and has a listing of mortal individuals who seem to have been servants of a specific demon. The demon that's mentioned at the beginning of the book is known as the Deceiver. The Deceiver is named in the book as Vies des Technin, which I'm going to give you in the spelling.
That's
Vies des Technin, according to the document here, and according to your own lore, because this would be kind of common information, was a demon-born child, a being that was born plain-touched, also known as a tiefling, whose great-great-grandfather was a demon, a true demon, who had married into nobility through acts of deception. That older demon was also the demon prince of deception at the time, but this Vies individual raised in power to such a strength that he was able to take his great-great-great-grandfather's position as demon prince of deception and secure it as his own. It mentions a series of lieutenants who serve underneath this principality, and one of them, matching the description, is Chandra Nikto. And I'll go ahead and type that. Chandra Nikto, known as the Master of Puppets, the Deceiver's Tool, also listed as the Dark Heart, also listed as Ruby Eyes. According to the information present here, it is a demon that is incorporeal being that has the ability to possess lesser beings, and apparently did so far, far, far to the west in the Dragon Isles during the War of Sword and Serpent on one of the lieutenants of Ashmedea, that lieutenant's name being Golthias. Golthias was turned into a vampire by Chandra-Nicto and served stronger as Ashmedea's servant and slave.
I would let Raya know all this and say we have things we probably need to look out for a little closer.
Getting real tired of that name.
Ashmedea?
Yep,
So,
that's one.
so Chandra Nicto was a lieutenant of Vidas Teshnan?
Correct. The
Right?
Deceiver.
Okay.
And for you, Panda Buddhist, go ahead and roll just an intelligence check.
In my mouth. Normal intelligence?
Just intelligence, yeah, you're just remembering something.
21.
Well, it'd be a little less because that's a save, not a check, but
Sorry.
I think it's like 5 less. But anyways, God, well, no, it's a lot less. Hold on, holy crap, your save bonus is massive. 1 second.
I have a 4 modifier
In
on
intelligence.
my intelligence.
Okay, a bit lower, but it's enough to recall. You remember that the champions of Mudis, when they fought against the invading armies of the cultists, Crimson Scarves, and the like, went into a crypt and fought against the leaders of that group. And according to what you learned from the Curios and from reports of that engagement, the leader of the Crimson Scarves was possessed by this same creature.
So it's jumping around. Yep, like I said, I let Ryan know that.
Well, so far the two factions that it's taken possession of have both been servants of Ashmedea, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you, this demon called Ruby Eye, does that have anything else to do with Mount Ruby Eye?
Ruby Eyes.
Yeah, I'm guessing just red eyes. Black form, red eyes.
Wasn't
Just wanna make
Calorith the
sure
leader
it's
of the
not-
Crimson Scarves?
Calorth was not the leader of the Crimson Scarves.
Okay.
Calorth was the leader of the Dragon Cult.
Okay.
The leaders that you are aware of for the four parties that were helping in this matter, the Osmuten Knights were led by a captain who escaped the battlefield. His name is not known, but if you ever meet Darna, you would know the lieutenant's name. Or no, you might have the captain's name.
Yeah, because he told, or what Donovan told us his name, and then he escaped.
Yeah. If you've got to go ahead and post or tell him.
I don't remember. I'm not there.
Well, then,
I'm just asking if I remember it.
well, do you?
Brooklyn knows it.
Yeah,
I
what-
don't remember it personally.
Make an intelligence check, and I'll give it to you if you know it.
19.
That's really good. Okay, I'll find it in my notes. I was hoping you'd fail, so I didn't have to check it. I'll be completely honest, but I owe you a name.
Plus 0 too, which is ironic.
Fucking hell. My point. So the Osmuten's name, the captain of the Osmuten, you know it. One of you knows it, but he escaped. The leader of the Crimson Scarves was the individual at the temple, whose name I also forget and you would have never learned, who died at the hands of the champions of Mudis. The leader of the Men of Faith, again, similar situation, but they were a part of the Four initially. The Dragon Cult was led by Calorith. The Conglomerate Remnants, no one knows who their leader is. You know that they have been kind of sparse and mostly were present in the Icefang Mountains. Where they reside is unknown. They were not in the laboratory, though, that you guys unearthed. And then Azmuten, Crimson Scarves, Dragon Cult, and Conglomerate Remnant. Those are the four.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, if you guys are engaged and you kind of have had that conversation, time would pass. It would come to a point where all the book all the bookwork is done. The Kyrios has taken his position back to his seat, and you would note that he's healed pretty well. Is not limping anymore. Magical healing has been able to kind of help in that regard, and whatever was causing him not to be able to kind of refresh, that matter has been dealt with by the miracle cure from the priestesses of Mudus. Knowing a bit more about this specific ailment. That said, table's yours. Bluegate can be a jumping off point, or you can start working on that school, I guess. I mean, whatever you want to do. Freedom.
Would all the stuff go in line for the school to actually get going?
You need teachers.
I got that. I'm saying, like, I've got the okay, so I can start sending out messages saying, hey, we're looking to do this.
I would have pushed all the permits through before I left.
Yeah,
okay.
You own... Oh, excuse me. Currently, you own the establishment, the entirety of the building. Demos, by the way, owns the Men of Faith's manse, and Raya has a house.
And lands.
Effectively, yes, you do have fiefdom.
Okay, basically what I would do is I would
totally stuck my own name on, the secondary lines on both of those deeds also. Because why wouldn't I?
Fair.
Just in case.
You're going to say, Shadi?
Sending out messages to the few that I know that I feel would be good teachers, asking them if they would be interested, kind of imploring them that this is something that needs to be done. We need to really start pushing this as it's better to have a safe place for them to practice instead of going out and trying to learn this wild magic on their own. Sending that out, and then also setting up with the scribe there to tell him to start kind of spreading the word that this is coming.
Okay. So the like I said, I'm going to get you a grouping of about 4 mages that you know that you'll be able to contact. I will give you the name of one now, and we will discuss their response. Because are you doing this through sending, or are you sending notes?
Sending.
Okay, perfect. So the individual that you would know as the Great Illuminator, who is a pretty powerful mage based out of the capital, when he receives your missive, he says, a new school. Bring a presentation personally. I would be receptive to receive it. The individual in question, known as the Great Illuminator, you would know that they are known as Langdon Morgenstern. Posted there. A mage of some power that you know in the capital, and some repute. But mages aren't as big in the capital as other types of people, specifically priests. Very holy city. But it seems that Langdon would like a presentation.
I would let him know that we would get something together as soon as I can.
Where is he?
Capital.
Perfect.
Great. Brooklyn arrives back in Bluegate. Great time with the family. They're just being. You would see that trade lines have reestablished with Banser and Kelswar, and are probably able to kind of, if you're not wanting to continually sit on a stick the whole time, catch a ride on the back of a wagon for some of the traffic, acting as a guard for the folks on the trade routes. But yeah, what do you do after all that?
Everybody else, see what our next plans are.
So this is our last day.
You can do whatever you want. But yeah, no, everything that needs to have been done, the copying of pages and all that, has already been done. That's handled.
Yeah, I'd want to spend. Brock want to spend the day casting plant growth over the course of 8 hours to enrich the land.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, the plant growth would be needed, like in the rice paddies. That would be great.
Well,
Cool.
And some of the farming up on the the highlands, that'd be fine as well. But yeah, great. And then
Regroup and
Sir-
figure out our next plan.
Start talking with Benson. Is there any way for you to learn a teleportation circle via sending, or do you need to physically see it and write it down yourself?
B.
Yeah, I would have to actually see it. We can only hear words with sending. I would have to actually see it to be able to know the makeup of the circle and the intricacies of it.
I see. That's what I feared. Honestly, I got a little comfortable sitting down, and I don't really want to walk. But I also need to go to the capital.
I have a presentation that I have set up with one of the other wizards to see about a possible professor spot. If you would like to travel with me, I'd be more than happy to take you.
Yeah, the Curious is sending me as a delegate. We have some further works to do here.
And Grok is like, Grog. And then you watch as Shambles kind of walks in. He's been around. You've seen him kind of walking around town giving thumbs up to people. And
Smashing his fists together like he's ready to fight something.
Yeah, well, he's been mostly just giving thumbs up to people, and they've been really receptive of these thumbs ups.
So much so he got knighted.
Shambles didn't get knighted.
Just for thumbs upping people.
No, you're the only knight.
Moral support.
I mean, well. Yeah, I need to get to Bellum primarily, but the capital after.
Yeah, I told the wizard that it would be a bit, and I would get to him as soon as I could.
Yeah,
we have more
one
pressing matters.
Hell of a
currently.
walk.
Oh, sorry. I need to address one thing. You would have been asked, Mishrael, for your sigil. Do you have one in mind?
I don't.
For Osirian sigils, it's basically a square shield. Think of like Roman kind of Praetorian shield. And then
Not Osirian, though.
you're an Osirian knight now, so
I guess that's true.
it would be that would be the shield, and you'd have a field being of one color, and then a subject, which would be the center point of it. All Osirian markings are like. So basically, whatever one thing you feel best captures you, be it like an animal or an object or kind of like terrain feature. It could be multiples of those things, but since you are just a knight, it would be just one thing really in the center, not all.
At this point, it would. I'll flip a coin. It'll either be the symbol for Lamac or a skull.
Or a knife.
No.
Okay.
We're not broadcasting that all the time. Come on, I'm a saint, not a murderer.
Fair enough.
What are you thinking?
If it's the Lamac symbol, it's just a book, so that's easy enough.
Okay, yeah, just do an open book, and then if I progress further in my title, we'll change it.
Put a knife in it.
We'll put a skull on it.
Fair enough.
I collect those.
That said, as you're kind of like getting ready to leave, there's you're addressed by Megan, who has a satchel in hand, and she offers it to you. This would be your knightly token. Showing this to anyone inside of the courts of Osiria will mark you as such.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You
I
pull
put it on.
You pull open the satchel, kind of open it. It's like a basically a wrapped up something, and inside you have two things: a wooden box, which you open, which shows official decree of your titles and your fief, and a rondel dagger, and on the butt of the rondel dagger is your sigil. Rondel being kind of I don't know if you're familiar with that kind of knife, but I'll show you a picture. I will try to show you a picture.
Spell that word.
Rondel.
Look it up.
Hold on. No, Rondel. And it's rondel dagger is specifically what you'd be looking for.
Rondel dagger with sigil. I'm just marking them on my sheet.
Got it. It kind of looks like this. Picture posted in the Discord.
Okay, I found some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like an ice pick.
Yeah. But yeah, you'd probably keep that on your belt or hide it away if you want. Either way, it's fine.
50-50.
It's a fancy dagger. It is not magical. It is masterwork. and it is in the tier category excellent. So
Neat.
I could make that magical for you.
yeah, he could.
You could also destroy it. I've seen your work. Let's get
Possibly.
you a little more practice first.
Possibly. This might be.
Guess
I'm
what?
honestly going to do my best not to stab anybody with this knife. I know that sounds crazy, but
Once it's magic, then it's stabby time.
new world, new riot.
Oh, that's crazy. All right, so then what's the plan? Shamble says.
I think we're southbound as soon as we get the whole party assembled and means of travel.
Okay.
Before Megan leaves, I know this is a lot to ask right now, but are horses available?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah. Horses that are currently in the city are being utilized for purpose.
Do we have any outbound wagons
Uh,
headed to Banser that we could guard?
There are wagon trains that are heading south. That is true.
That'll be the way to go then.
No,
Thanks, Megan.
no problem.
That'll be all.
You head. She shakes her head, laughing. That said, you head south. If that's the plan. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to Kelswar. 1, 2, 3, 4 to Banser. So it'd be about 2 days travel with your current speeds. If you'd like to go ahead and roll me 9 d20.
Brooklyn, you're in charge of that.
Okay. Okay, there's 5. There's 9. It's not gonna load up, so I'm gonna have to tell you the rolls. Are you ready?
Yeah, I see
17,
them.
19, they're on. They came.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah,
never
you're
mind.
good.
Set it up for me connection to the SATA, so
Roll me 2 3D 100s.
80, 52, 65.
All right. Let's see. Bear with me here for a
Good
second.
job, Brooklyn.
I do some things sometimes.
All right. So when you sign up at Bluegate, you're kind of looking for someone, and you see that there's a dwarf merchant who is basically ready to head on south, and it would have been the person they suggested you go to. The individual's name is Banbha, Banbha, Banbaha, and they are a dwarf merchant. He is a dwarf merchant, rather, and he says when you approach him,
Oh, okay. So you're gonna just guard for free? You don't want any pay?
Free will be fine. We're headed that way anyway. You'll have to find your own guards to come back, though.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, probably not gonna be able to find anybody in Banser. Only people worthy of traveling north were the Asmuton. They got their asses beat. Ugh.
Damn right they did.
Well, I could put fortune to favor. Maybe. We'll see. Fuck it. Free is free.
Brooklyn, you're from Banser, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my friend here might be able to find a couple guys for you.
you're pretty sure Sally would probably be willing to
I
travel.
know
there.
at least one. So
Oh, great. Well, that works for me. Let's head on that way. Sorry about the cart. Smells a bit like fish. We just deposited some stuff from Banser. Some really delicious cod.
Can't be worse than the turtle.
Probably not.
So yeah, heading on that way with that roll. The first one. Ooh. Okay. So it's an 80. And we are currently in the... this would be Ludus proper. So 80. Okay. You would see that the mountains, or rather hills, the Howling Hills to the side there. This is kind of just outside of Bluegate, maybe about 4 hours outside of Bluegate. You would see that there's a grouping of kobolds that look like they're prepared for combat. They look down and seem to be kind of scouting out the foray, and the merchant and his workers aren't really paying too much attention. Couple wagons, not too big a train here, and you all would basically immediately see them. They're not very stealthy. Probably about a dozen of them, and you're pretty sure that if there was no guard present, they would probably have decent means of tussling with the merchant and his folk. But they seem to kind of look to you and see that there's a massive armored green creature, and another massive armored green creature, and they don't seem to be moving too terribly towards you. They just seem to be kind of watching you.
This is our first travel section.
This would be like, yeah, you're in between Bluegate and Kelswar.
I'll wave to them.
Ah! Several of them kind of skittish away.
I'll motion that they can advance to us if they'd like.
No! They say in Draconic.
Then go find jobs.
Ah! They all retreat. Yeah, they definitely look like they were a bit on the scrawny side. They look like they were trying to get kind of an opportunistic kind of attack on a merchant. But seeing that the carts were empty, not laden with delicious fish, and your sweetmeats were protected, they weren't terribly interested in engaging. Continuing on, the rest of the travel to Kelswar is fine. There's no problem. You arrive in Kelswar, and like I said, quiet folk. They don't offer you in particular individually a room or anything, but the merchant very quickly kind of exchanges some coin with a person. There's no inn in Kelswar to speak of, but apparently he just secured the entirety of a house in Kelswar for you all to kind of remain in for the evening. Quiet enough.
Wagon B&B.
Yeah, effectively. But nothing really happens in Kelswar unless you want to investigate more about Kelswar. Most people are guarded and don't really exit out of their houses. If you arrived pretty late at night, so you didn't see anybody getting off their boats and shacking up, you just kind of see boats out there and people in their houses.
I'm just going to be a dick and walk around and give everybody my thanks for their hard work. Just show off. Be a politician.
So you knock on their doors and have...
No, the ones that are out and about.
There aren't any.
I thought you said they were starting to shut down, but not.
No. You would have arrived late, so it would have been after
Okay.
they'd shut down, yeah.
Yeah, I'll get them in the morning then.
Alright. So in the morning, Raya goes around, hey,
Kissing baby, shaking hands.
Kissing baby, shaking hands. Some people seem annoyed by the interaction. Some people kind of go, oh, I've heard of you. Yeah. They seem to know.
I'm very appreciative of all of their hard work.
But Bamba is like, we gotta go. Come on. Keep it moving. And then on that second one, okay. So you're heading down the way, and you would see kind of on the mountain or on the rocks, it looks like you see another grouping of individuals who appear to have been lanced to the rock face. The individuals in question appear to be men of faith, based on their markings and insignia. It looks like all weaponry and anything of worth has been taken from them, but their bodies are impaled on the rock face by these strange kind of more natural kind of spears.
How natural?
If you pull the spears out and inspect them, you will note that they appear to be made out of some kind of massive canine or like sharp tooth for the head of it, and kind of very strange kind of wood for the shafts. Some of them are stone shafts.
Still in the Howling Hills, somewhere between Banster and Kelsor.
Somewhere, yeah.
Brock, do you make anything of this?
Would I recognize anything for creatures from Cloudy Lake, like Huatoa or something like that?
Yeah, it's basically the same kind of situation that you saw the very first time. You are pretty sure these are troglodyte spears, and they're coming down from the Howling Hills and attacking people on the road. Basically, you're standing on a road, and it's like a set level and kind of tiers up to another level, and then there's like breaks in the hills. Like they kind of cleft the road out of the side of the hill. And then there's like a descent down 30 feet, and it seems like the blood from these dead bodies is kind of going into the water. Like it's specifically made to do just that. Yeah.
Probably feeding the Leviathan with the blood.
Possibly.
Or baiting it to the surface.
Hey, we could tame the Leviathan, change his name to Xandar the Destroyer.
Xandar the Destroyer is a good name, I've heard.
I have too. I'm determined.
But that said, as you're making your way towards like the last leg of Banser, you do see some of the bodies have been taken down and kind of tossed into the water, kind of dashed on the rocks below. Some of them have been removed and been taken elsewhere. Probably people who were bandits and the like were tossed, and people who were, people of repute for the people of Banser or Galspar were kind of taken in by whoever was removing them. But yeah, that said, as you're kind of making your way towards that end portion, I will say this. Shambles sees something. I will not elect what that something is. I know what the type of encounter is going to be, but I don't know how I want to describe it, what with the time being what it is. So we will start next session, because I assume Shambles is in the forward position, scouting ahead as he always does. I will address that with Zachary, or just Zach, when we reconvene next Sunday. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. Thanks for watching, and we'll pick up next week with random encounters. All right. Bye.